a whimper in the night, squeaking chalk, a fork scraping across a plate. Some noises send a chill down the spine straight away. However, it gets even more sinister in cases where we don't even know what made the chilling noises in the first place. The background of the mysterious tones and signals, which we'll present to you today in more detail, could not be deciphered to this day. Lean back, open up your ears, and come with us on a journey into the world of inexplicable acoustics. Before we get started, be sure to hit the like button and ring the notification bell for more videos. Train. It's March 5th, 1997, when some hydrophones in the Pacific Ocean pick up a very strange sound. Scientists use hydrophones, better known as ocean microphones, to pick up various sounds that can be emitted from the ocean. These microphones can help researchers to keep track of certain marine life, and they can also help to detect natural disasters long before they threaten human lives. When the recordings from the complex water microphones were later played back, employees of the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration couldn't believe their ears. In fact, the sounds from the depths of the ocean are reminiscent of an old-fashioned train that rushes noisily through the landscape. Because of this parallel, the mysterious tones later became known as the train. To this day, nobody knows what caused this noise. One theory is that the hydrophones captured the collision of a massive iceberg with the seafloor. What's certain is that the train was a one-off event. Comparable sounds have not been registered since then. It's difficult to understand many underwater sounds because the density of water causes sounds to become highly distorted. Because of this, even the most ordinary noises can sound foreign underwater. However, with a team of highly skilled experts who've made this their career, someone should be able to determine what this strange sound is. However, after all these years, no one has uncovered the truth. Julia. What bears a conventional woman's name actually describes an eerie sound that was located on March 1st, 1999, in the depths of the Pacific. The sound, whose place of origin is assumed to be somewhere between Cape Adare and the so-called Bransfield Strait, was so intense at the time that it could be registered by all hydrophones in the Pacific Ocean. An explanation for the sounds that vaguely resemble a human sigh? None. Just like in the case of the train, researchers suspect it was the impact of an iceberg with the ocean floor that created the eerie sounds. Claiming that these sounds are nothing more than an iceberg may sound like somewhat of a cop-out response. However, in reality, icebergs can create all sorts of strange sounds when they collide with the bottom of the ocean. Some icebergs may sound like nothing more than a large thud, while others may sound like crunching or crushing. Others can even make scraping noises as they fall from their original location and scratch against the surface of the earth. While experts may or may not be correct about the origins of this strange sound, it's certainly possible that this noise was, in fact, caused by an iceberg. In reality, however, we just really don't know for sure. The wow signal. In view of the breathtaking diversity presented to us by the universe with its thousands upon thousands of celestial bodies, an odd wow quickly may often escape our lips. Astrophysicist Jerry R. Amon was similarly amazed when he registered an extraordinary narrowband radio signal on August 15, 1977. More specifically, the signal originated in the constellation Sagittarius, where it was located by Ohio State University's Big Ear Radio Telescope. What amazed the scientific community about this unique discovery was that the profile of the wow signal bore startling similarities to a signal generated by an artificial antenna. The different approaches that try to explain the origin of the radio signal are just as exciting as they are different. Probably the most exciting thesis is that it was actually an attempt at interstellar communication by an extraterrestrial civilization. The WOW signal is still the most promising candidate when it comes to artificially generated extraterrestrial messages. However, the signal may have had a natural background. It could also have arisen when a pulsar experienced a gigantic outburst. A comet that passed our solar system is also being discussed as a possible source. Unfortunately, the signal could not be recorded a second time, so the experts can still only speculate about the true origins of this unique event. Many people still hold on to the theory that the sound was created by an extraterrestrial civilization that's been attempting to contact us. However, with the technology we have available to us, it would almost certainly prove that the signal must have come from somewhere so deep within outer space that we'd never be able to reach it in our natural lifetime, at least not with our current technology. In all reality, most scientists have given up on the idea that the WOW signal was a message from aliens in outer space. The truth is, if the signal had alien origins, we'd likely still be able to detect it, as it's highly likely that the unknown civilization would continue to emit this sound over a long period of time. However, since we only detected it once in a small burst, it stands to reason that it's most likely caused by some sort of natural phenomenon. The buzzer. What's the real deal with the buzzing noise picked up by numerous radio amateurs? What's certain is that the shortwave signal the buzzer comes from Russia, but what's the purpose of this strange noise? The most common theory is that the buzzer is used to transmit encrypted messages and data. In detail, the hum takes on the role of a kind of distribution center in a so-called monolith network. But this is by no means the only explanation that's circulating through the vastness of the internet. Another thesis is that the signal's closely linked to the nuclear missiles of the former Soviet Union. Once the hum stops, a circuit would be set in motion, triggering a series of nuclear attacks on enemy states. The problem with theories like this is that, as far as we can tell, there's no real evidence to support them. While several amateur sleuths have managed to pinpoint the noise and confirm that it's coming from Russia, there's a big chance that the noise is simply created by some sort of machine that creates electrical interference throughout the day. There's also a chance it's nothing more than another natural phenomenon. It's certainly eerie and exciting to think that this sound could be emitted from some sort of government or military device, but we simply don't have any evidence to suggest that this may be true. Only time will tell. Humming phenomenon. While the tones and signals presented so far are still isolated cases, the next humming is an inexplicable mass phenomenon. Over the years, many people have spoken up who suddenly and for no apparent reason perceived a strange, low-frequency whirring sound. Some people affected by the humming phenomenon compare the noise to the sound made by a truck engine. However, an in-depth investigation in which those affected simulated their acoustic perceptions with tone generators showed that there's no such thing as a single humming tone. The individually set frequencies sometimes differed significantly from one another, leveling off at values between 30 and 80 Hz. What the affected people have in common, however, is the fact that the eerie hum is particularly noticeable in quiet environments and during the night. In addition, the whirring in closed rooms always seems louder than outside, as the hard surfaces indoors allow the noise time to reverberate through the walls, amplifying its intensity. The noises often trigger restless and threatening moods, which is why people who complain about the humming phenomenon see their quality of life massively restricted, particularly bitter. To this day, no doctor knows where the hum comes from or how it can be treated. Possible explanations are rare forms of tinnitus, exceptionally good hearing, electromagnetic fields, or ground vibrations. However, some of those affected are not satisfied with these approaches and consider themselves victims of an insidious conspiracy. As a result, they believe certain people or secret organizations deliberately use the annoying noises for psychological torture. It's certainly possible that one method of effective treatment for this strange noise would be to simply move to another home or get another job far away from the noise. There have been no reports of people hearing these sounds in any widespread manner. As far as the evidence suggests, the sounds are only heard in very specific locations in somewhat close proximity to one another, with a few notable exceptions. For now, no one knows where these noises are coming from, and it seems unlikely that we'll ever find out. Skyquakes. Whether in the United States, Japan, Norway, or Brazil, almost everywhere on the planet, people have heard rumbling noises from the sky that no scientist can explain. The roar of these heavenly earthquakes can become so intense that it even triggers noticeable vibrations and makes buildings tremble. Some people who've witnessed such an event believe that it's a divine warning of an approaching apocalypse. Somewhat more earthly attempts at an explanation see the origins of skyquakes in meteorites, gases, military aircraft, or volcanic eruptions. However, these are purely theoretical speculations. Nobody can say with absolute certainty what the roaring of the sky really triggers. One thing is for sure, the menacing sound of these so-called skyquakes is eerie enough to bring anyone to their knees. These sounds are incredibly loud, remarkably powerful, and are unlike anything you've ever heard before, which certainly amplifies the theory that they could be supernatural warnings from a higher power. HAVANA syndrome. Headaches, dizziness, nausea. These are just a few of the many symptoms associated with the mysterious HAVANA syndrome. Many U.S. consulate staff in the Cuban capital complain of inexplicable suffering. Loud noises combined with extreme vibrations often preceded the symptoms. According to U.S. intelligence theories, these events were by no means coincidental. Enemy spies would use a novel microwave weapon to intentionally torment U.S. diplomats during their visits to Cuba. This suspicion would also coincide with the fact that cases of HAVANA syndrome have now also occurred in the U.S. embassies in Berlin and in Colombia. Do you think that the strange cases of illness are actually based on harmful frequencies from a hostile intelligence service? Let us know what you think about it in the comments below. Many people believe that the U.S. government employees are being targeted in a bid to send these travelers back to their home country. But what would be the purpose of this? For the most part, many of these agencies and their workers mean no harm and stay out of the way of local leaders. We don't know for sure what these bizarre cases may mean, but there have been multiple evacuations over the years due to fears that these sounds could cause permanent brain damage if one were to be left exposed for long periods of time. The Forest Grove Sound. In February 2016, police in Forest Grove, Oregon, were suddenly faced with countless calls from desperate residents. The residents complained about a loud metallic sound that kept appearing during the night and kept them from sleeping. Descriptions of the noise ranged from a high-pitched whistle to a scratchy, crooked note played on a violin. Typically, the Forest Grove sound lasted between 10 seconds and a minute before disappearing just as mysteriously as it had appeared before. No local authority was able to locate the source of the loud noise or clarify its background. On the other hand, the residents of the city and users who came across the phenomenon on the internet were far more willing to explain. Some believed that this was the screeching of frogs. Others immediately thought of an extraterrestrial source, and still others suspected that it was none other than Bigfoot who roused the residents with his screams. Particularly strange, since February 27, 2016, the Forest Grove sound has never been heard again. The BLOOP. The sound recorded in the Pacific Ocean in the summer of 1997, now known as the BLOOP, reminds us once again that we're still miles away from unlocking all the secrets of the oceans. The researchers who studied the noise believe it was most likely made by an underwater creature. The problem, we simply don't know of any organism that could create a sound of this strength and range. So, if the bloop actually came from an animal, it would have to have been significantly larger than all the largest whales known to us. However, in this case, once again, a breaking iceberg is considered as a conceivable cause. Since the eerie noise has never been heard again, no one can say with certainty what really caused it. Now it's your turn. Which of the featured sounds surprised you the most? Have you ever heard an eerie sound that you just couldn't explain? Just write us your experiences and your thoughts on today's video in the comments below. Give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed our foray into the world of spooky sounds. Don't forget to subscribe and click the bell to stay up to date. Thank you for your interest. Have a good one and see you next time.